Hello, and thank you again for tuning in. This video is an introduction to fractions and will help us to understand how we can begin thinking and talking about fractions. The first words that we want to make sure that we're using when we talk about fraction are the words whole and same size pieces. When we first begin talking about fractions in early elementary, we don't necessarily need to even use the word fractions or to say what fraction we are using. It's the idea that we have a whole. So in this case here, this entire box is the whole. In this case here, your circle is the whole. And here we have another whole. The idea is that we take our whole and we break it up into same size pieces. In each one of these cases, our whole has been broken up into 4 same size pieces. We can then start talking about how we have partitioned and filled in our whole. On each of these shapes, we broke our whole up into 4 same size pieces, and then we filled in one of those same size pieces. Once we understand that we can take our whole and break it into same size pieces and then talk about the pieces, we can start naming them. And we start with the unit fraction. A unit fraction is a fraction that has a 1 in the numerator. The unit fraction is a fundamental concept of fractions, as all fractions are built by stacking or combining in some way different unit fractions. As we are naming our fractions, we need to make sure we can name the parts of our fractions. So the top part is called the numerator and the bottom part is called the denominator. Since students already have the vocabulary at this point of same size pieces, we can talk about the denominator in terms of how many same size pieces your whole has been partitioned into, and the numerator tells us of our same size pieces, in this case 4, that we have broken our whole into, how many of those pieces do we actually have? In this case we have 1. So this whole can be said to have been filled in 1/4 of the way. 1/4 of our whole here is filled. Once students are able to name unit fractions and build models of unit fractions, the next step is to do things such as comparing unit fractions. For instance, comparing 1/4 and 1/8 to talk about which is bigger, why. Fraction tiles and other models are very helpful for this work. Also, once students have an understanding that this is 1/4 and we understand what a unit fraction is, we can start combining our unit fractions to make different fractions. For instance, if we have our whole here of the box that we have partitioned into 1, 2, 3, 4 same size pieces, we know that this piece is 1/4. The whole has been broken up into fourths and we have one of them. This piece is also one of our 4 same size pieces. If we have 1/4 and 1/4, how many fourths do we have? We have taken our whole, and our whole is still broken up into 4 same size pieces, and then we can count how many of those same size pieces do we have. How many unit fractions do we have? 1, 2. We have 2 same size pieces. So as we begin our work into thinking and discovering what fractions are, it is very important that we start by using the word whole and talking about how many same size pieces that we break our whole into. Once we have an understanding that is something we can do, we can extend that thinking so we know that our denominator tells us how many same size pieces our whole has been broken into, and our numerator tells us how many of those same size pieces we have. Also, we need to understand that these are unit fractions, and that all fractions are built upon unit fractions. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.